If you've been following my videos on the welding playlist, you know that I've been trying to decide what to do with my hobby. I sort of got off on the wrong foot with that. I started on a large scale, and it served me pretty well. I did some larger fabrications that needed to be done, for example, my welding table. But I've run out of things to do that are on a large scale because I got no place to put the product or put the output. Plus, the storage for large pieces of steel is cluttering things up. So I'm sort of gravitating toward miniature, which is more appropriate to the space I have. So I'm going to move most, if not all, of everything into my lanai, which is about 12 by 12, 15 by 12, something like that. Small space, but it's totally enclosed, air conditioned, which means I can work year round. The downside of it is there's no really good ventilation system. And if I'm going to do any welding in there, it's almost going to have to be TIG, because it appears to me, in watching many YouTube videos, that you get the least spark and splatter with TIG than any other welding method. Nevertheless, I'm going to put down a fire retardant flooring. My air conditioning can be set to vent to the outside, or I could just put a fan in and open the outer door to the lanai. I don't know. Anyway, my first step in doing that is to start moving stuff inside. So I bought a couple of shelving 3-shelf things to put stuff on. And the reason I bought that as opposed to just building it is that it needs to be, I need to be able to take it down. And at my age, I'm always thinking about the executor of my estate, which is my oldest son, and what he's going to be faced with in terms of cleaning up my messes. At any rate, once it gets to be daylight here in Central Florida, I'm going to record the before picture and point a little bit toward what I'm going to try to do. And that'll be an evolving thing. It's going to take me, I'd say, a good month to make the transition. And as I start doing that, I may uncover other problems or benefits, or I may change my mind altogether. But I've definitely got to go miniature. I just simply can't continue to fabricate big stuff. I'm intrigued with the idea of getting a small lathe. I saw a video on YouTube. I would put a link in the description, except I can't find it again. But anyway, in this particular YouTube video, the person was turning and truing up rebar. And when it's trued and taken down past the little edges, it's a pretty good looking piece of steel. And by having a lathe, I can, if I'm going to do miniature stuff, I don't have to wait forever to try to find the exact bit or piece to do it. I can just make it. So maybe that will be the best of both worlds. And the other thing, there's two things that had influenced me not to start TIG welding. Number one is the fact that it requires a gas, so I've got to deal with that logistic. And the other thing, it's relatively slow if you're doing really large scale stuff. But for miniature stuff, it's really good, and it appears to handle tacking very well, which is really necessary when you're doing miniature little things. So that'll be an evolution. Now, the downside of it is, which is true regardless, is the fact that I've got a lot of heavy welding equipment, particularly my DC generator stick welder, which can do over 200 amps. I can't envision any use for that on doing miniature stuff. In addition, since it's a generator, it makes a lot of noise, and in my particular neighborhood, that's they won't tolerate that very long. So I need to sell that, and I'll be lucky to get 50 cents on the dollar for that. That was an expensive lesson. The other welding equipment and my plasma cutter I'll keep. I will not be able to do plasma cutting inside the lanai. It's too much of a fire hazard, plus the fumes and whatnot. So I'll have to keep some equipment outside, but it'll just be a tiny amount compared to what I currently have. The other thing I've got to do is I've got a lot of scrap that's not going to be suitable for miniatures. Well, maybe it would be if I cut it up fine enough, but I've got to clear out my scrap metal mess. So anyway, I got a lot to do over the next month or so. And so I'll be adding to this video and showing you the progress as that goes forward. All right, well, here are the outside scenes, and I'll do a narrative to explain what I'm trying to do. As you'll see from this, my shop evolved into a junkyard, which is what I've got to clean up. Also, the rules here in the community require that I have everything covered when not in use. So it takes 10-15 minutes to uncover stuff, and longer than that to cover it up. So it's quite a chore just to do something. I was going to make this, start this move much earlier, but after I made the part one of this video, we had a cold spell come through here. We had a 29-degree day in Central Florida, or night actually, and that's delayed things. But there's some of my junk that I've got to get out of sight. And by being able to cut stuff up into small pieces, I will be able to stow it away, so it'll be out of sight. Now this is looking out into the carport area from the lanai. The lanai is 11 feet by 9 feet, so it's not a big space. I'll have to get rid of the chairs that are in there. That'll free up some space. Also, I'm going to need a heavier table. I'll have to cross that bridge pretty quick. And this is outside again. Looking at the job I've got to clean up. Oh well. If you're one of those who like to watch people work, this is going to be it. A lot of stuff to do here. And I'll have still quite a bit of stuff out there, but it'll be stuff I don't use very often. So it won't be so big a chore to cover and uncover stuff. And inside is air conditioned, so I can work through the heat of the summer, which I couldn't do outside. And this will be where I put the TIG welder, if I go that route. and certainly the mini metal lathe. I'll have to have a heavy table for that. So a lot of work to do. A lot of invention and reinvention and so on and so forth.